we're going to start the last session, and like I said in the last class, it is already a shorter class. So, and really just if you have questions, things we haven't covered that you would like to see how to do, we can go over those in the end as well. So the first thing that I have is a little bit of what we were talking about in the last class, the searching in fields. Again, I'm sorry, I meant to click on statutes there. If you narrow down the document types that you're looking for, it really allows you to have specific fields to search. So statutes, for example, and if you weren't in the first class, just while we're here, just want to point out the 50-state statutory survey. You can get the 50-state surveys there. So if I go into Florida and click on Advanced, once it loads, you can see there's different fields for statutes than from cases. And one that you probably would use a good bit would be the statutory text field. So if you just want to search, have your terms search in the actual text of the statute, if you use the statutory text field, that allows you to restrict your terms to only appearing in the text. And again, if you're not sure what the field is, if you click on that PDF, it breaks down each document type for you, so you can see exactly where you're searching when you select a particular field. All right, so the main thing that we're going to cover in this class is legislative history and how to get to legislative history. Go just back to the main page so we search everything. And I'm going to bring up the DUI statute because there are 5,000 different versions of it. So it's a good example to use. So once I run my search, again, I ran through my default jurisdiction and everything in my first two columns. And then I'm going to go into statutes. Okay. And so you can see we talked about the key site indicator in the last class for the cases, that it meant that there was the yellow flag meant that there was negative treatment, but it hasn't been overruled. You can see that in statutes, it is a little bit different. It tells you that this statute has been held unconstitutional or been preempted, and that there was proposed legislation. If you want to go into history, the best way to get the history is to go into the history tab here in key site and click on this graphical statute. And in Florida, the graphical display goes back to 2000. If you need to go beyond 2000, legislative history in Florida goes back to 1987. But prior to 2000, you don't have the nice graphical view, so you have to just go into the credits and the history that way. But if you're looking at legislative history between now and 2000, the year 2000, you can go in and you can see the time frame that statutes were effective. And if I click this plus sign, it gives me the link to that version of the statute, because when I originally went in there, it pulled up the current version of the statute. So if I need the prior version, I go to the time frame that I'm interested in. I can click on the link there and go to that version of the statute. I can click into the public laws. I can, if I scroll down, see all of the bill drafts, the House report, staff analysis. Bless you. Bless you. And so you can see everything for this particular version of the statute is all linked together, so you don't have to go into the credits and piece everything together. It's already done for you. There's quite a lot for this particular one. There's the journals, and if there's any governor signing notes, those would be in there as well. And so you can click on anything in here. If you go into the public law there, you can see what was added and what was deleted, so you can see the exact changes that were made. So additions are highlighted in this blue turquoise color, and things that were removed are struck through. So you can go through and see exactly what was changed with each version. So that if you have the statute that you want to find the legislative history to, so the graphical statute display is the quickest way to get into the legislative history. Again, if you want to go past 2000, then let me get that back up here and I'll show you where that is. So if you click on that history arrow, you can go into the rest of the history. I can go into history overview, and I can go into history prior to 2000 from here. So I can pick if it's the notes, if it's the bill drafts, the prior versions, whatever it is that I want to go into. So if you want stuff prior to 2000, you can get into that way. So here's all the material. And again, it's hyperlinked, so you can get into that, get into each individual document from there. You can also just search in legislative history by going into the statutes and court rules link. And you have legislative history for all 50 states, but you can, if you wanted to run across everything, you can just go into legislative history and search across all, or you can narrow it down to Florida and click that same link. So that's another way that you're able to get into legislative history. We talked about folders, and I believe it was the first class, and sharing folders. And the way to do that would be click the folder that you want to share, go into options, and share. Okay, so you would click share and type in the email address of the people that you want to share. I'm not sure what it keeps losing my connection when I try to do that. But that's how I thought I would be able to show you that, to share. And then your history, like I mentioned, your history will be saved for a year. So if you want to go into prior sessions, if I click the little drop down arrow, it's going to show me, if I hover over it, it shows me the last 5 documents and the last 5 searches. If I want to view my full history, I just click on the word history there, and it will, assuming I still have an internet connection, take me into my history. There we go. Okay, so this is showing everything that we've done in this particular session, and then if I scroll down, you'll see I can browse through any of my prior history just going page by page. But this is where, in the first class when we talked about putting in a client ID, if you put in a descriptive client ID and use a different client ID each time, you can filter right here by that client ID. So I can go in and pick a particular client ID and see everything that I've done on that particular topic and narrow things down that way. I can narrow it down further and say I just want to see the documents that I viewed or the searches that I ran, if I key cited anything, or if I went into related information. And so you can filter your history down just like you can your results. And then at the top right here, you have this little icon that's kind of a page there, the research recommendations. What this is, and I've just kind of run the same same searches, so it's not pulling anything up there. But if you're really doing research and you're going into different, running different searches, foldering cases, statutes, whatever, the system is looking at what you're saving, and it's saying, hey, I see that you have saved 5 documents related to topic 25, whatever that is. And so it's saying, well, if you're interested in this topic, and there's also key number 12 within there, so it's looking at what you're saving, and it says, you know, you've saved or looked at these documents. Here are 7 other documents that are on point to this issue. And so it recommends things that you might want to go into to make sure that you don't miss things. So as you're doing research and you're saving and printing and running additional searches and viewing documents, the system is kind of picking up on what you're trying to, or what it thinks you're trying to look for, and it gives you recommendations based on what you're doing to make sure that you don't miss things. It also, when you're in your folders, it does a similar thing. It analyzes your folders for you. So if you're creating folders for specific topics, so I have documents in my folder, and this icon here does a research report. This is handy if you're sharing a folder too, so you can kind of see what's in the folder. It gives you an overview. So if there's this is the main thing, if other people have saved things, it gives you the notes that are in there. So you can quickly look and see things that people have saved, why they have saved them in there, if it's an inline note, if it's a note at the top of the document. And then over here you have, like when you look at a PDF and you can browse to the different sections of the PDF, it's like that, where you can browse through and look at each document that's in there. You can organize it, change it around if you have a lot of things in there. And then you can print it or email it or download it. It should be Word or PDF. Yeah. Or WordPerfect, if anybody's still using that. And then also on the right, you have your folder analysis. So it's gone through and it's looking at the different issues that are common across the documents that I've saved in there. And it's identified these issues here. And click on that so you can see the big screen instead of on the side there. And so it identified the issues, and then it is recommending documents based on those issues. So again, it's saying, you know, hey, you're looking at these things. So here are additional cases that you might want to look at. Here's some additional statutes that you might want to look at. And you can see the different issues are broken down here. So I can click into each one and see what it recommends for each one. So it's really just trying to help you out to make sure you're finding everything. And then if you want to look at all of the legal issues, got that as well. So that's when you're in a particular folder, it analyzes that particular folder. All right, so you can also, when you're searching, we've been staying on the All Content tab. If you just want to search federal materials, you can come in here under Federal and select 11th Circuit, and you can search everything, or you can go through and specify different pieces that you want to search. So it's kind of creating a custom collection for you. You can do the same thing with Florida or any state. So I can click on State Materials, Florida. And then again, I can search here and it's searching everything Florida, or I can go in and pick and choose what I want to search from there. And then if you want to do practice area specific searches, so if you're looking for, if you're working on an employment issue and you want to run searches for content just in employment, you can run searches. And that's one thing, with this plan you have access to these practitioner materials, which is something that when you had Westlaw before you didn't have, and they're really nice secondary sources. One thing I didn't mention earlier, I talked a lot about saving things to favorites. If you save secondary sources to favorites, when you go into your secondary sources, that will create a sort of subcategory to filter by. If it's something that you've saved in your favorites, there's a filter of your favorites. So it's saying, well, you have these sources saved in your favorites, and there's articles for these two sources that you have in your favorites. So it just kind of narrows things down so you can quickly see if there's a secondary source that you use a lot that you like to rely on. If you add it to your favorites, then you can quickly see if there is an article in your search results. We haven't really gone into news. If you click on news, it's a little bit, the search style is the same as far as, using a Boolean search or a plain language search. It just doesn't search in the main search. You have to search it directly. And then it gives kind of popular articles out there. And then you can, again, go into advanced. If there's specific newspapers that you want to search in, you can come in here and search publication names. So you can narrow down, or you can just type in any source that you're looking for at the top. If you just want to search one particular source, like let's say you want to search Florida jurisprudence, you can start typing that in, and it's trying to suggest or guess what you're searching for. So I can quickly go in and search that way as well. So anytime you're looking for a resource, you can type it in there as well. And the main thing is just you don't have to memorize how to do all of this. We've got the reference attorneys. That's what they're there for. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and just call them and they will help you navigate through anything, find different things, give you suggested searches, whatever it is that you're looking for. They can do a tutorial session with you. If you wanted a 10-minute overview of KeyCite, again, you can call them and they'll walk you through KeyCite again. So that's really what I had down for the advanced class. We kind of added a few things into the other class too that were originally going to be in there because you guys were really quiet. So are there things that you want me to show you that we haven't gone over, things that you want to know if you can do or how to do? All right. Well, the last class number we have this time. Last time we didn't have it from the bar yet. So the last class number is 1604126, N as in Nancy, and it's also 1 hour general, 1 hour technology.